Chapter 1. Bunky Winter. It was pleasantly snowing outside when Mr. and Mrs. Walms returned home from a little Christmas shopping. It was already very close to Christmas, and their little nephew Bunky Hippo was in the living room making efforts to decorate a huge Christmas tree. He carefully distributed colorful socks all over the branches and stared critically at his enterprise. "Hello, dear Bunky," said Mr. Walms. "Why did you decorate the tree with socks?" "Merry Christmas," answered Bunky wryly. "And why not?" "I don't know," said Mr. Walms. "Perhaps you'd prefer to use our Christmas decorations from the last year." "No," said Bunky, picking up a newspaper from a nearby sofa and moving with it to a table. "That looks exceedingly nice," said Mrs. Walms peaceably. "Such an original style." Yes, agreed Mr. Walms. "The neighbors will be even jealous, I dare say." "Rubbish," said Bunky Hippo, unexpectedly tearing the first page of the newspaper in two. "Obviously, they didn't publish my poem." "Oh, please, do not feel upset, my dear," said Mrs. Walms, giving Bunky Hippo a hug. "You can recite your poem for us on Christmas Day next to the fireplace." "We love your poems," agreed Mr. Walms. "I especially like the one about chocolate cookies." "We've got you a Christmas sweater," Mrs. Walms rejoiced, hoping to improve Bunky's mood. The sweater worked its magic as Bunky's face quickly lit up. In truth, he was a good-natured little creature with a sharp disposition, but a very big and loving heart. Everyone in the Walmland village loved Bunky Hippo, even though he was slightly grumpy at times. But who isn't? "Is it with a squirrel?" he asked with some hope in his voice. "With a squirrel and snowflakes," smiled Mrs. Walms. "Here it is." Bunky Hippo smiled too and started dressing in front of the mirror. In this moment, he was quite happy, forgetting all about the newspaper and the ungrateful association of poets who ignored his imaginative mind and creative work. "I look really nice in red," he decided, while critically examining his reflection in the glass. "You do," confirmed Mrs. Walms, unpacking her shopping in the middle of the cozy living room. And it was such a cozy, magnificent living room. If only you could see it, dear reader. But anyway, you are truly here with us now, in the Walmland village, in the Walms house, next to Mr. and Mrs. Walms, and next to our little, slightly grumpy, but quite friendly Bunky Hippo. In the living room, Christmas lights were glaring all around. Soft red armchairs were inviting one to sit down and take some rest after a long day, and the fluffy grey carpet was constantly encouraging home dwellers to walk on it barefoot. Beautifully framed windows revealed an enchanting winter landscape with delicate snow quietly settling on the ground in the Walms garden. The Walmland village was located in Walmland, a beautiful land 1,000 miles away from the North Pole, west of the Faroe Islands, and east of the Baffin Bay. And I assure you, dear reader, that not everyone could get there, but only those who believed in Bunky Hippos with all they might. "Will there be more Christmas presents this Christmas?" inquired Bunky Hippo, curiously glancing at Mrs. Walms' shopping bag. "I I do love Christmas presents and reindeer and snow." "Certainly," smiled Mr. Walm. "Santa Claus will not forget about us. I've been good this year, at least I intended to. The results don't always reflect my deepest intentions," Bunky Hippo wondered. "Will Santa place presents underneath a Christmas tree?" "Yes," Mrs. Walm confirmed. She was quite sure about it. And there was plenty of free space underneath the tree, enough for any possible presents. Then Bunky Hippo continued, "What if the mouses get hold of them and hide gifts in the mouse hole?" "Mice, not mouses," corrected him Mrs. Walm. "I was talking about the mouses specifically." Bunky Hippo huffed. "Not about the ordinary mice." "Is it a different species?" Mrs. Walm knew how stubborn the little hippo was. "Absolutely," said Bunky Hippo. "But yes, I admit I was wrong. Perhaps the mouses are not officially discovered and classified as a species yet." "So what will happen if the mice get hold of our gifts?" "I am sure they would love them," Mrs. Walm smiled, wondering what was the intention behind Bunky's questions. "I would be glad then too," decided Bunky Hippo, resolving to have an open heart and delight in others' joy, even though it was so difficult. Oh, how difficult it was! "I would be absolutely thrilled if the mouses took the gifts and loved them," repeated Bunky, trying to convince himself as well. A little mouse stuck out her nose from the mouse hole, listening carefully to Bunky Hippo's assurances. It was snowing outside still, with elegant snowflakes subtly swirling around in a happy pre-Christmas dance. Mrs. Walm sat in a rocking chair in order to prepare a list of ingredients for her famous Christmas chocolate cake, and Mr. Walm began arranging Christmas lights and wreaths around the living room. Bunky's socks on the Christmas tree were very mysterious, yet they looked homely. These were all kinds of fluffy, colorful socks one wears on a cozy winter evening while having a cup of warm tea. Bunky Hippo gazed at his work with satisfaction and then went to his bedroom. He sat at a mahogany desk and began writing the most important letter of the year, the letter addressed to Santa Claus. From the Woonland village, and Bunky's bedroom, clean and well ordered before Christmas. Dear Santa Claus, how are you? Christmas is coming again, and I am writing to reassure you that I have been trying to be good as much as possible. As you know, it is not easy to be good. I was naughty at times, but I stopped. I would like to be good like you, Santa, even though it is very hard. But please know that I am trying. For instance, this Christmas I would like to ask you to remember about the mouses living in the mouse hole in Uncle and Aunt Walms' living room. Please bring them something they dream about. I do not know what the mouses might possibly like, but I know that you do, because you are Santa Claus. I also wanted to greet your reindeer and ask about your plans for Christmas. I am planning to spend Christmas with Uncle Walm and Aunt Walm, whom I love very much. This will be the best Christmas ever, I feel, as it is already snowing. I was wondering if you could bring me some skating boots, because I like dangerous sports. I promise I will be careful while ice skating. Dear Santa, if you think that I should receive something else, it is up to you. I have been trying to be good, and I will try again after Christmas. When you will be around with the skating boots, please take a look at our Christmas tree. I decorated it in my own way, which reflects my individuality and deep artistic inclinations. Please remember about Aunt and Uncle Walm, and maybe my cousin Rodney Williams will join us this Christmas. So if he arrives, please remember about him too. I don't know what he would like to receive, but I am sure that you do. I send you the best Christmas wishes and hugs. I really hope to meet you, because I'm sure that you would appreciate my poetry. Ho, ho, ho! Affectionately, your much improved and constantly improving Bunky Hippo. Bunky carefully reread his letter, drew with a pencil a beautiful Christmas tree surrounded by hearts and stars, and placed the letter in a red envelope. He opened one of the desk drawers and found a golden ribbon to decorate the envelope. To Santa Claus, from Bunky Hippo, he wrote on the envelope. The most important letter of the year was ready. Was I good this year? Wondered Bunky Hippo, gently placing the letter on a windowsill in his bedroom. The windowsill was a magical spot. Santa Claus would pick up all the letters addressed to him from here. At least, this is what always happened in the Walms house. The afternoon continued in a peaceful and carefree way. Mrs. Walm was sweeping the floor in the living room, and you could hear her broom making these comfortable, homely shh sounds. Mr. Walm donned his apron with orange tigers and quietly moved to the kitchen. He was a great, diligent cook, and just after a while, a delicious smell of tomato soup started circulating around the house. Bunky Hippo stared through his bedroom window and saw those beautiful, distant, gentle hills of Walmland covered with a fluffy layer of fresh Christmas snow. Barely audible voices indicated that many inhabitants of Walmland were spending their day outside, playing in the snow, building snowmen, or running around in their characteristic Christmas hurry, trying to buy Christmas lights, find products for these once-in-a-year Christmas cakes, or send Christmas greetings in festive red envelopes tied with golden ribbons. These days, all the inhabitants of Walmland awaited good news, loving, hopeful news from relatives and friends, meaning so much to one's heart, especially on the approaching Christmas Eve. Mrs. and Mr. Walm's house was placed a little aside from the noisy main road and surrounded by tall pine trees and spruces, which swung gently with every winter breeze. The most beautiful, sturdy spruce with vividly green needles grew just opposite the front door of the Walms house, very close to the terrace. It was the Walms' idea to decorate the spruce each and every year with colorful Christmas ornaments. Bunky leaned on his elbow and began dreaming about Christmas and his cousins, Rodney Williams' arrival, and about all of them joyfully singing fa la 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 while sitting around the fireplace, awaiting presents and Mrs. Walm's chocolate cake. What a joy! The smell of tomato soup was irresistible, but Bunky knew that Uncle would announce dinner time exactly at 3 p.m. and not before the special hour. It was one of his habits Uncle would often repeat that habits and schedules are important to organize oneself, but Bunky, as a budding artist with a romantic spirit, could not understand the magic of organizing himself and living in a complete order without a charming spark of chaos or those neglected socks found from time to time underneath his bed. Yet he thought he still tidied up his bedroom before Christmas. Was it a sign that he started organizing himself? Bunky hoped that the cleanliness of his bedroom would impress Santa Claus. The clock struck 2. The creative hour arrived. Bunky Hippo's personal, creative time. Dear readers, here you need to know that Bunky had a secret. And what a secret it was! A mystery dearest to Bunky's heart. Underneath Bunky's bed, hidden in the farthest corner, was his very personal notebook with a blue cover, Bunky's favorite color. In this notebook, Bunky was writing a novel. His biggest dream was to become a published writer. The notebook had 100 pages, enough for a future published writer, Bunky thought. The novel, entitled Happy Ever After, was about a hero who hoped to win the prince's heart. The hero's name was Bunky Hippo and the princess's name was the Bunky Princess. The hero was a courageous nobleman with a big heart and partly a sharp disposition, so needed in such novels, especially in those moments of trial when the hero is meant to show all the possible bravery and wit. The Bunky Princess was a gentle, sweet creature with fluffy ears and an enchanting smile. She was wearing pink slippers and a pink cozy dress. Every morning, when the birds would finish their sweet songs, she would play the harp in front of her Bunky castle and sing with a delightful, melancholy voice. The hero, Bunky Hippo, would listen patiently while hiding behind a rose bush. He would smell the roses, and his heart would be filled with eternal love. Whoever saw this unearthly smile of the princess would fall in love with her immediately. Whoever heard the Bunky Princess singing would be under her magic spell for eternity. Whoever recognized the noble mind and loving heart of the princess would never forget her. However, only Bunky Hippo, the courageous nobleman and the distinguished hero of this novel, truly possessed the qualities which the princess desired. Only he fully deserved her heart, as he was truthful, noble, and wise enough to become her knight. Most importantly, he loved her. The only problem was that she was not in love yet. At least probably, as they had not met in person through the first 20 pages of the novel, dedicated to the descriptions of the prince's castle and the hero's armor. Or maybe she had already loved him for a very long time, but they were merely meeting in her dreams. The time arrived in Bunky Hippo's novel for this important moment of revelation. The hero was meant to abandon the rosebush and introduce himself. Bunky Hippo the writer felt that this scene in the novel should take place before his Christmas in Walmland. He assumed that the characters in his novel were very real, almost like his friends, and he realized that he would enjoy Christmas much more, knowing that in the novel the princess recognized the hero's noble heart. He found the notebook underneath his bed, wiped the dust away from its cover, as the floor was not perfectly clean, even though bedroom in general, as indicated in the letter to Santa Claus, was perfectly tidy, sat back at his mahogany desk and continued writing. His mind was filled with romantic ideas, intermingled with a delightful smell of Uncle Walms' tomato soup. Bunky began writing. The time arrived for this moment of revelation. Hidden behind the rosebush, the hero decided that he could not be anonymous any longer. He longed to introduce himself to the Bunky Princess, the gentle creature who completely took possession of his noble heart. Her song was about a merry tea party in her castle and joyful hours spent in the garden among birds and flowers, and Bunky Hippo felt that he needed to introduce himself immediately, as in the song. Neither did he appear at the tea party, nor in the garden. Finally, he did not appear in the entire song, which he felt wasn't right. He longed to see the princess's smile. At last, he regained his usually endless courage, picked up his rucksack from the ground, stepped outside the rosebush, and finally was honored to address the princess in these dignified, bunkyful words. "Oh, gentle creature, may I be allowed to introduce myself as Bunky Hippo, the hero of this novel?" The Bunky Princess stopped singing and remained quiet for a moment. "Is it you?" she asked, and her words were like music to the hero's fluffy ears. "I've been waiting for you all this time, meeting you only in my dreams." "I knew that," exclaimed Bunky Hippo most happily. "I knew that you would recognize me." However, he could hardly believe in his own happiness. It often happens to such fortunate and brave heroes. "Of course," said the Bunky Princess, abandoning her harp and directing her gentle steps towards Bunky Hippo. "In this novel in which we are living in, all that I've ever done was waiting for my hero, and in you I immediately recognized the one, my one and only Bunky Hippo, my courageous, wise, and loving Bunky Hippo. You finally arrived. Where have you been for so long?" "Behind a rosebush," admitted Bunky Hippo with unconcealed shame. "I have never fully supposed that you might be waiting for me. I was concerned that you may not like me. But how do you know my name, oh beautiful princess?" "All the past, the future, and the present are here," the princess said, taking a small book out of her pocket. She loved dresses with useful pockets and decorative ribbons, which combined practicality with elegance. "Do you recognize the book?" she inquired. It was in a blue binding and had 100 pages. It was a little dusty, as if removed from underneath a bed. Bunky the hero had to admit that the book was new to him. The Bunky Princess smiled gently and said, "This book is entitled Happy Ever After. I have learned from it all about my hero." "How truly unthinkable, and how very delightful!" Bunky Hippo exclaimed. He knelt in front of the princess and said, "Oh, noble princess, can I become your knight?" The Bunky Princess placed her delicate hand on Bunky Hippo's shoulder and uttered these solemn words. "I, the Bunky Princess of Bunkyland, choose you, the noble Bunky Hippo, to be knighted as my hero until the end of this novel, and beyond its 100 pages. May the final chapter not divide us, and may we go hand in hand beyond the final page. Bunky Hippo felt that his eyes filled with tears of true Bunky happiness. "Rise, my brave hero!" the princess exclaimed, and Bunky Hippo noticed that the garden filled with a sweet smell of roses, while thousands of pink, gentle butterflies began circling above their heads. They fell into each other's arms, and the world became even a better, brighter place than it had been before, although Bunkyland had always been the land of goodness and nobility, not to mention bravery, represented by Bunky Hippo himself. "I would like to offer you a gift," he said, as soon as he could contain the rare tears of happiness. "Watch this." Bunky the hero reached for his rucksack and opened one of the compartments. There he found a lasso. It is only natural for the hero to carry around various useful objects so that he can use them when the right moment arrives. The right moment arrived, and Bunky Hippo threw the lasso up into the sky. "Oh!" the princess exclaimed with deep admiration in her voice. Bunky Hippo pulled the rope, and it came down to the ground with a little shiny star. "It is a shiny star from the sky for you, my princess," said the hero, placing the star at the princess's feet. It had the glow of 1,000 sunrises, the elegance of the brightest diamonds, and it shimmered with delicate silver lights like winter auroras. The princess could not find the right words to thank her hero. She told Bunky Hippo that his heart was all that mattered to her. The princess carried everywhere with her a small pink bag, as it is usual for women to carry small, useful bags whenever they go. In the bag, she kept a very convenient enchanted wand by means of which she could create anything she wanted, from the stars to castles. It made her feel like an independent woman who did not require gifts from anyone, apart from the priceless gift of love. Yet she felt deeply moved by the daring deed of her noble hero, as she had read in her book that when he arrives, he shall offer her a star from the sky, and this would be the sign of his truthfulness. This deed convinced her even more that Bunky Hippo was her true hero. They went towards the castle, holding hands and smiling at each other, while butterflies were singing delightful songs. Here Bunky Hippo stopped writing and reread the last sentence. He frowned, crossed out the word butterflies, and substituted it with birds. After that, he crossed out the word delightful because he felt that delight. After that, he crossed out the word delightful because he felt that the delight already appeared in his writing too many times. Birds were singing amusing songs, wrote Bunky Hippo, and still did not like it. Perhaps he meant amazing instead of amusing. After all, these songs were not meant to be amusing, but delightful. Bunky frowned. The word delightful crossed his mind again, but there was no better word, he thought. His novel was meant to deeply move the reader and portray a grand, genuine feeling between the main characters. Delightful had to appear at least once again, by all means. Thus thinking, Bunky corrected the last sentence in the following manner. The birds were singing delightful songs. The clock struck 3. The smell of Uncle Walms' tomato soup invitingly wafted up to Bunky's bedroom. "Dinner," Uncle Walm proudly announced from the kitchen. Dinner! What a beautiful word! Bunky thought. He instantly imagined his favorite soup. He kissed the precious notebook and secretly hid it underneath his bed. Suddenly he was struck by an unexpected thought, followed by a rare feeling. It was the first time when he realized that he, Bunky the writer, might be in love with the Bunky Princess of Bunkyland.